Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Edinburgh Napier University MBA webinar. My name is Helen Spiropoulos. I'm the Admissions Manager at Stafford Global. And joining me this evening, all the way from the UK, is Dr. Ciaran. Good evening to you, Dr. Ciaran. Oh my goodness, I think we've
Good evening,
actually...
Helen. It's good to be here.
We can hear him. I can hear you now. Good, excellent. Welcome, everyone. And I'm just looking
Good
here
evening,
on my...
Sorry.
There we go. I think there's a bit of a lag, but it's okay. I'm just looking here on my right-hand side. I can see that there are quite a few of you that have joined us as far afield as Africa, and I can see one or two, even from Canada. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. How we're going to conduct the webinar is just briefly introduce you to Stafford Global. I'm then going to hand you over to Dr. Ciaran, who's going to chat about the MBA program. And right at the end of the presentation, we will have the opportunity to open up the panel, so you can ask us any questions that you would like to be answered. I will be looking at these questions quite carefully. I will be grouping them together because a lot of the questions are very similar, if not identical. Okay, so let's get started. Who is Stafford Global? Well, Stafford Global was established in 1993, and we are a resource centre for 5 UK universities, one of which is Edinburgh Napier University. Now, we do offer a variety of programs ranging from certificates to diplomas, right through until MBAs and doctorates. So we really do have all the programs for your personal as well as your professional needs. Now, the mere fact that you're here with us this evening means that you have been in touch with one of our experienced academic consultants. And our role is to assist you throughout the application process, ensure that you get that very, very important unconditional offer. And we do also offer some administrative as well as some academic support. Now I'm going to hand you over to Dr. Ciaran, and I shall be joining you again towards the end of the webinar for all those questions. Over to you.
Hi, Ellen. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking part in the webinar today. My internet might cut out. I think that's what happened in the delay, so do bear with me if it goes again. So good evening to some of you, good morning, good afternoon to some of the others of you. My name, as Helen said, is Dr. Ciaran Mcfadden-Young, and I'm the program leader of the MBA Online here at Edinburgh Napier Business School. And so today we're just going to talk about the MBA, what it looks like, the type of structure and the modules that you'll complete as part of the Global Online MBA, what it looks like in terms of the assessment and the support that we have available for you at Edinburgh Napier University. So before we talk about the MBA, I want to draw your attention to Edinburgh as a city. So hopefully if you join us and then graduate, you will be able to come and visit Edinburgh Napier for graduation. And Edinburgh City itself has been voted best UK city for the past 2 years. I've lived there for a couple of years now, and it's a really great city to live in. It's also home to more tech startups and also financial companies than any other UK city apart from London. So obviously it is the capital of Scotland, but it's also very well known for tech startups and finance startups as well. It's also home to the festival. So some of you might have heard of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and the Edinburgh International Festival. 2 festivals, huge festivals that occur every August, apart from last August, obviously, but the entire city is completely filled with people then, shoulder to shoulder people, and it's a really, really good atmosphere for the entire month of August. So a huge employer around the summer months, but also it means some of our lecturers have real life festival experience and large, huge event management experience. So if any of you are thinking about event management MBA, those are some of the lecturers and professors you will have who have worked on the Edinburgh Festival. In terms of Edinburgh Napier, well, we have over 19,500 students in more than 130 countries. Two-thirds of which are studying on campus in Edinburgh, but a third of those are studying at partner universities worldwide and online. So we have a huge online global presence with people from all these different countries, and we have a really well-oiled machine when it comes to the actual online experience. We have a very dedicated and efficient department that will support you as an online student. In terms of the kind of the views of Edinburgh Napier and our rankings or ratings and things like that, we're #1 million+ university for business management. We're top 5 UK modern university for accounting and finance, if anyone's interested in our finance option. We're top 10 UK modern university for marketing, if anyone's interested in taking our marketing specialism. We're top ranked Scottish Modern University. This is in the Times and Sunday Times Good University Guide 2020. A top 10 Modern University for Business in The Guardian. A 2019 National Student Survey, so it's a survey of all the students in the UK. The HRM subject group received 100% student satisfaction. And because of that, then we were ranked #1 in the UK out of all institutions offering human resource management. So again, if you're taking the HRM specialism or interested in that, or even if you're taking the general route, you will have some of these HRM lecturers who are really well ranked in the UK. We have 5 QS stars for teaching, employability, and internationalization. So our graduates are very, very highly employable, and we also have a very highly international cohort of students and focus in our programs. And we're top 10 in the UK for graduate employability. Again, and we have a HR Excellence in Research Award, and the Business School in National Student Survey 2019 was 84% student satisfaction, so a very high student satisfaction score. So we are, no matter what subject or what specialism that you want to take, you will be treated to a highly formally accredited education, according to all these different surveys and newspapers. So the MBA General Route, I'm going to talk to you first, and then we will talk a little bit about exit points, and then I'll talk to you about the more specialist routes. So for the MBA General Route, all of these modules are 20 credits, except for the project, which is 40 credits. The exit points, before I talk to you about the modules, we'll talk about the exit points. Now, obviously, we want you to stay with us for the entire MBA, but if during your studies you decide that you want to go to a certain exit point, we are quite a flexible program. So individual modules will carry an award. If you take 3 of those modules, so that's 60 credits worth. So for example, the first 3 there, core modules, you would get a postgraduate certificate upon exit. If you took 6 of the modules, so all 6 of these modules except for your research modules, then you would get 120 credits if you decided to exit then, and a postgraduate diploma. And to get the full MBA, you would take the 6 modules plus your research skills plus your MBA project. So as I said, the MBA General is comprised of the 6 modules plus the research skills and the MBA project modules. For all routes, you will have some common modules or some core modules. No matter what specialism you want to take, you will take Management and Organizational Change, LSDM, MBHPO, and Global Business Economics and Finance. So Management and Organizational Change, or MOC, that's about looking at organizational change and the role the manager plays within organizational change, really looking at the checklists and the qualities that the managers should look at and bring in to managing an organizational change process. And of course, organizational change is common to all organizations, especially during the pandemic, but really even during non-pandemic times. Change is kind of is called the constant. The only constant of an organization is change. So you'll be learning how to lead that change and how to be an effective manager within that change. Leading strategic decision making then is almost like a 2-parter. So it's leadership and strategy. So you'll hear from our HRM lecturers who will talk to you about leadership and the role of a leader within an organization. Then you'll talk to our strategy experts who will talk to you about building a strategy and executing a strategy for effective organizations. The next module then, marketing and building high-performing organizations, again is a 2-parter because we're talking about marketing, but we're also talking about building high-performing organizations. So you will have our marketing lectures and you will have our entrepreneurship lectures who will teach you about how to build a really successful, efficient, high-performing organization. The last of the core modules then is global business economics and finance. So not only looking at the global financial markets, but also looking how that impacts on your own particular business and their own organization. So a bit of finance, bit of economics, bit of accounting and that. So a well-rounded education across those 4 different core modules. If you decide to stay with the general MBA route, you would take these 2 modules in blue. So you would take managing innovation, which obviously you can imagine innovation is very common within, say, high-tech organizations, but really innovation is common within all organizations because no matter what product or service that you are delivering, you will be trying to make sure to innovate that, to make sure that it meets new customers' demands. Contemporary issues in strategic management then is about those strategy issues that are contemporary. So things like, for example, the pandemic right now might have led to a realignment of different strategies within organizations. So that would be one of those contemporary issues. And this module is very much up to date with what's going on right at the moment it's being taught. So those are your two I suppose optional modules. They're compulsory on the general MBA, but you would swap out these two blue modules with the other modules that I'll show you on the next slide. Before we talk about that, we'll talk about our last two modules. Research Skills for Manager is another core module that is common to all of the MBA routes. And in this, this is one module that I teach on. In this, you will learn how to become an effective qualitative and quantitative researcher. We'll talk to you about qualitative research, which is about feelings, perceptions, stories, emotions, experiences people have had. And within that, you might interview people or talk to people in a focus group or do some ethnography. So we'll teach you how to do that. Within quantitative research, that's the kind of research that most people know about already. That's our statistics, our surveys or questionnaires, things like that, that you might have taken part in already as a participant. So we'll teach you how to actually conduct a survey or a questionnaire and collect quantitative data in that regard. After you've learned how to do this, and on top of that, you'll learn things about research ethics and integrity. After you've learned about how to carry out a research project, then we will have you go out and actually do your own research project. So the MBA project on the general MBA route can be really anything you want, in terms of topic. It could be really anything that you want to look at in terms of a business or management topic. So that's worth 40 credits, and you will be assigned a supervisor on that who will help you to conduct your research project. So you'll do that no matter what MBA route you want to do, but depending on your specialism, you will do two different modules. So instead of managing innovation and contemporary issues in strategic management, you will do one of these set of two modules. So for example, if you wanted to take, let's say, the MBA HRM, so these are modules that I teach on. So if you want to take the MBA HRM, Human Resource Management, then instead of doing the Managing Innovation and Contemporary Issues in Strategic Management, you take Contemporary HRM and HRM in an international context. If you wanted to do, for example, I mentioned earlier about tourism management, you could take the Contemporary Issues in Hospitality Management and International Business Event Management. So depending on what specialism you want to take, you will do those two modules. In addition to that those specialist modules, your MBA project will also be specialized onto your particular route. So if you're taking the MBA HRM, you will be doing a HRM project at the end. So in that way, you have 40 credits coming from your modules and then 40 credits coming from your MBA project that focus exclusively on your specialism. In terms of our global online programs, well, let me talk to you about the feel and the structure and the approach that we take. They're 100% online, so you won't have to come to campus at all, obviously. They're asynchronous, and by asynchronous, we mean that the lectures will take place at a different time than they're watched by the people by our students. So a synchronous lecture is when the lecturer and the students will be on the same online platform together or in the classroom together, as it would be. But for the Global Online MBA, these are asynchronous. So what that means is that you'll be watching pre-recorded lectures from our lecturers. So in that regard, it's quite flexible because you can study at a time, a place, and a pace that suits your own personal and professional demands. So let's say you want to watch the lectures after work, or you want to watch them on a Saturday or Sunday, that is completely up to you. We have high quality materials, they're engaging, they're interactive, and they're self-directed. So it's very much at your own pace and your own speed. You can go back and rewatch the lectures anytime you want. And for example, if you wanted to look at a specific thing within the module, you weren't really sure about it the first time, you can do that. It's self-directed. We also have interactive aspects to that as well. It's a truly international student experience because, as you know, we have students from all those over 130 different countries. We have 3 intakes per year, that's January, May, and September. And in terms of assessment then, you will be provided with formative feedback and summative assessments. So what do we mean by formative and summative? Formative feedback is feedback that is constructive from your, for example, supervisor or tutor, global online tutor, and they will provide you feedback on your assignments and things like that, and any submissions that you've made. They'll say, well, maybe you can focus on this, maybe you should look more at this, maybe you should improve that. That's what we mean by formative feedback. You won't actually be marked on that. Then we have summative assessments, and the assessments that are summative are contributing towards your module mark. So what do they look like? Well, we have an end of unit progress test for each of the modules. So that's 10 academic units with an online questions at the end of each unit. This is through our virtual learning platform, Moodle. And this will test your knowledge and understanding of the key concepts within each unit. And that counts as only 10% of your final module mark. But you can see the 10% could be an important component of your mark. Then you have an end of module assessment that's worth 90% of the final module mark. And the end of module assessment, that might comprise of a report or an essay or maybe a financial analysis, depending on whatever module that is. And assessments will be undertaken online and they'll be described in the approved module descriptors. You can look at the module descriptors on the Napier website before you actually maybe choose a specialism to see what type of module assessments you'll have. And as part of the quality assurance process, the module leaders then will sample a number of summative assessments. So they will mark them along with the global online tutors, and they'll sample a number of these marked assessments and portfolios to make sure that the work submitted is undertaken as that of the matriculated student. So we have a very robust quality and quality assurance and plagiarism checking in mind there. Oh, excuse me. And so you're advised then, obviously, that if there's any question regarding your authorship of the submitted assessment, that we have the right to require you to take part in an online viva voce or viva, as some people call it, and that's an oral examination of the material that you've covered in the assessment. But hopefully we won't get to that point. But we do have a very strong quality assurance and plagiarism checking process in mind. So that's it in terms of the assessment. You have 10% of that as your end of unit progress test. You'll do in your self-directed on your own pace. And then 90% of that is the final module marks. There'll be a deadline for each of your, in each trimester for your assessments, and that's when you'll submit it by, and that's worth 90%. It will look different depending on what module that you're taking. In terms of our academic year, we have 3 trimesters here in Edinburgh Napier, not semesters, but trimesters, and each of those is 13 weeks each. So trimester 1, for example, say trimester 1 will start in January to April, and you can start, remember, at January, May, or September. So let's say you started in January, your trimester 1, January to April, you'll take 2 modules, each worth 20 credits. Then the next trimester, from May to August, you'll take another 2 modules, 20 credits each. Trimester 3, another 2 modules, and this would be your specialist modules, depending on what specialism that you've taken. In trimester 4, then you just take the 1 module, and that's research skills for managers, and that's where you're developing, for example, your proposal, thinking about what project you want to undertake in your last trimester, trimester 5, wherein you'll take your dissertation project worth 40 credits, and that'll be alongside a supervisor who help to guide you, have some meetings with you about carrying out this project. In week 1, you will get access to the module materials on our virtual learning environment, that's Moodle. You'll have your online induction and you'll commence your studies. And then weeks 2 to 12, that's when you will undertake your own self-directed, self-paced module study. And on week 13, then you'll have the submission of your final assignment. So with each trimester, you will have 2 final assignments towards the end of the trimester due. In terms of entry requirements and fees, we require an honours degree at 2.2 or above, plus 2 years relevant work experience. Comparable alternative qualifications or professional qualifications and relative work experience may also be considered. And don't be shy about talking to your Stafford global agent about that and having a conversation about that, because we regularly accept people with different qualifications who might have additional relevant work experience. And the selection of those candidates is at the discretion of the head of MBA programs, but certainly we can enter into conversation regarding that. The alternative to MBA for those without relevant work experience would be the Msc Business Management. So for example, if you've just graduated from an honours degree 2.2 or above, you can undertake the MSc in Business Management, which has a couple of similar modules, but a different approach overall, and that starts in September and January. If your first language isn't English, you'll need to provide evidence demonstrating you can conduct yourself in English. For example, if you've done a previous degree in English, or you have the results of one of those English language tests, you can certainly show those to your Stafford Global consultant. For more information on that, please contact Stafford Global. Application deadline, I think for this application, correct me if I'm wrong, Helen, is the 1st of May 2021. And in terms of fees, that will be different depending on where you are, and you'll need some local advice there. Please contact your Stafford Global personal consultant. So that's everything. If you have any questions, we'll take some questions now, obviously, but if you have any questions, either myself or Helen or the Global Online Support team, that's Global Online Support at napier.ac.uk, can certainly help you with any questions you might have. And hopefully you will join us at the MBA Global Online. And here is where you will be at the end. This is in Usher Hall in the middle of Edinburgh. This is the graduation ceremony that you will hopefully be attending alongside with us. So back to you, Helen. Thanks for listening.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Very informative indeed. And yes, we do have quite a few questions that have come through already. This is a question from Najib, again, very popular. Does Acsb accredit the actual MBA program or just the school? And when is this expected to be finalized?
So at the moment, the AACSB are in the process of, Napier are in the process of that accreditation with AACSB. So we're not accredited right now, but we are working towards that. At the moment, we are waiting to get a date where they will visit the school and undertake a kind of I suppose a campus-wise study of the school. So that's within the, I think within the next year that will be happening. So hopefully we will be successful now. All signs are pointing towards that we will be successful. But as of now, we're not accredited with AACSB, but they will be joining us hopefully within the next year and making that final decision.
Excellent, excellent. And if I am going to do 2 modules per trimester, how many hours should I really be spending on my studies per week?
Generally, I would say about 10 hours probably per module, anything between 7 to 10 per module, I would argue. The official number, I think, is 10 hours. But everyone has their own different learning style. So anything between 7 and 10, I think, would be fine per module per week. So, you know, between 14 to 20 hours per week, I would imagine.
Okay. And what would be the maximum duration of this MBA? For example, if I need to take a break in my studies, does the university permit me to come back and to complete it, and in what time frame?
Yes, absolutely. So we are quite a flexible, we take quite a flexible approach to the Global Online MBA because we know that people have a lot of work commitments and they have a lot of caring commitments, and we try to make that as flexible as possible. So usually we can arrange a suspension of studies, is what it's called. We can arrange that for 2 trimesters. If there's exceptional circumstances, we might be able to delay that a bit further. Usually within about 1 or 2 trimesters is usually no problem of a delay.
Okay, my ministry here in my country of residence, sorry, I can hardly read this one. Okay, my ministry in my country of residence will not permit me to accept this program unless it does not state distance learning. Okay, so I do sort of understand the question. Does the degree certificate actually state distance learning? Otherwise, the local ministry will not accept it.
No, it doesn't state distance learning on that. It will just say your MBA and your route, your specialism if you've chosen that. It doesn't state online or distance learning on it.
Yeah, and it's very important to also note that it's exactly the same qualification degree that a full-time student on campus will get. Okay. Okay, so for English criteria, John, please do get in touch with us because we do like to assess your qualifications. We need to look at all your application documents, and then we'll be able to assess your English requirement and what you would need to submit. Okay, so do please get in touch with us on that. Okay, if I do have a postgraduate diploma from another university, can I get credits? And the question here is to how many credits can I get?
Well, we can certainly have a look at that. I wouldn't be able to answer that until I've actually seen the qualifications and the types of modules. We do offer exemptions on certain modules. If you have, for example, taken a couple of modules of an MBA in a different university, we could then look at those modules and see how they compare to our modules. If there is an overlap, and quite a significant overlap, then we can offer an exemption on that module. But I'd have to have a look at the actual process.
Absolutely. So very important that you do send us the learning outcomes of those modules. But again, your academic consultant will be able to guide you on that. And a question from Al Masood is, if I happen to start the program and 1 or 2 weeks into the program, I realize that this is not for me, am I permitted to exit the MBA?
Yes, you should be able to. There is a cutoff time for that. I think, I'm not sure if you would know the exact cutoff date, Helen, but yes, there certainly is a cutoff date. I think within 2 weeks you would be okay to exit, but after a certain amount of time, you would have to pay fees for that trimester or that module in particular, or those 2 modules in particular.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. You obviously will be also in touch with the university support team as well, and they could guide you as to what your or what the process would be. We would also be in touch with you at Stafford Global as well if you feel that you need to maybe go on to another program that is offered through the University Business School, and so we can assist you with that as well. Okay, and a very popular question is, again, what is the pass rate of this MBA? I do hear quite positive things about this MBA, and a lot of people that I know in KSA have passed this MBA. What is the pass rate?
I had a look at this in response to a question in the last MBA webinar. I believe it's in the high 80s is the pass rate of the MBA. The high 80s or early 90s in terms of percentages. That is the pass rate. Of course, it's up to you in terms of the work that you put in and things like that, but certainly it is quite a popular MBA. We have a lot of students on the MBA, and the vast majority of them do pass, and that's with access to all the support that Stafford and Edinburgh Napier can offer you in that regard.
Absolutely. And do I get penalized if I do not access my online study portal on a daily basis? Is this monitored by the university?
We certainly wouldn't expect you to be on the online on Moodle, the online virtual learning environment every day. It's entirely up to you in terms of the approach that you want to take, and the flexibility is inbuilt into that. So no, there's nobody who will be monitoring, that you're accessing it every day. As long as you're keeping up in your own regard, in your own mind, you're keeping up with the study and the material, and you're putting the work in whatever pattern of work that you want to achieve. That's okay with us. It's entirely up to you, the approach that you take.
How freely available are the tutors to assist me? What I mean by that is, are they available telephonically, or can I WhatsApp them, especially now during the COVID situation?
So the tutors are available over email, and I think they can then provide on their own discretion. They could provide you with their with an MS Teams, Microsoft Teams call, or even a Skype call. We do have certain restrictions on how we can communicate with students just because of cybersecurity and things like that. But absolutely, the tutors are quite available, because that is their full-time role as a global online tutor, is to make themselves available to you students. So they will be available, and they can certainly talk to you over email, and if necessary over a Microsoft Teams call or something similar.
Excellent. And if I happen to fail an assignment, how critical is the feedback? Is it quite in depth so I know exactly where I have gone wrong?
Yeah, certainly we would. Hopefully, you wouldn't be in the position where you would fail, because you can ask for feedback beforehand, on maybe certain ideas that you're thinking of including in your assessment. But certainly, if you do fail the assessment, it isn't the end of the world. You can repeat that assessment, and as part of that repetition of the assessment, you can talk to your tutor, and you will also have written feedback on the assessment saying where exactly that you went wrong, what can be improved for the next time.
Okay, and are modules sequential? Do I have to follow a specific path, or can I just choose the modules as I go along?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly within the first 4 modules, I think you could do those in any order that you wanted. We would usually leave the specialist modules towards the end before you've started your project. Your project and your research methods modules, they will be completed after you've taken all the other modules. And the reason for that basically is because we want you to have as firm a foundation of knowledge on all the different subjects that you could do before you actually start thinking about what you want to research in your own research project. So, for example, if you're on a specialist HRM route, you would have to take the specialist HRM modules before you start thinking about your project, because we want you to know in depth those different specialisms and the different subjects you might take. So there is a little bit of flexibility within the first 4 modules, but then towards the end of the MBA, then that's quite set in stone because of those prerequisites.
And when I get to the dissertation, do I have my own individual supervisor, or is there one supervisor for 10 or 20 people at the same time?
So certainly our supervisors do supervise quite a few projects. I'm a supervisor and I supervise quite a few projects. So you might have some initial group meetings. That is a common approach that we might take at the start, because the information that would be given you at the start would be quite common to everybody. But within that, then we'd be supplementing that with individual meetings as well over Microsoft Teams. And you'd also get individual assignment feedback on, for example, the first chapter of your dissertation, the second chapter, or an entire draft of your dissertation. You'd get individual formative feedback on that. So it wouldn't be marked until the very end, but along the way you would get formative feedback, constructive feedback about what you can improve, or maybe delete or take away from your individual supervisor. So we took kind of a hybrid approach where you'd have group supervision maybe at first, but then you would definitely be going into individual supervision. And as I said, your supervisors then are, like your tutors, available for emails or anything like that.
Okay, and would I need to actually come to the university at any point to do a presentation for my dissertation, or do I have to do a presentation virtually for my dissertation?
So you're not expected to do a presentation for your dissertation. That would be only if you were taking, for example, a doctorate. But as an MBA student, you wouldn't have to do a presentation. There's no component, or there's no requirement for you to visit campus at any point. It's 100% online. And certainly if we did need to have a discussion with you, we've all become experts in the last year of having those online discussions and things like that. So you don't need to visit Edinburgh at any point. You don't need to come on campus at any point. However, you will of course be, as I said, invited to the graduation in Usher Hall.
Okay, and I have been informed that I can pick up 2 modules simultaneously. However, is there any possibility that I could pick up 3? Because I do have the time now, as I have got quite a lot of leave due to me.
Well, we would certainly, if you know, we'd usually say if you're working or you have caring responsibilities, to only take 2. If you do have additional time, then I would have no issue with you taking 3 modules, but that would be a conversation we would have to have, and you'd have to maybe provide a rationale for that, a rationale document explaining why you have why you want to take the 3 modules. But certainly that should be of no issue for myself in a way.
Okay, I have been informed that I do not require to buy any textbooks. So how effective is your resources at the university?
Yeah, so I suppose the textbook question is one that educators are coming across a lot now. Myself, as a module leader for some modules in the business school, I don't require any core textbook because I find that students go off and buy them, but then they have to supplement a lot of their research and a lot of their discussion in their assignments with resources from online sources anyway. So I thought, why not make it 100% online in terms of resources? So as a student of Edinburgh Napier, you have access to the library databases, and within that, you will get access to all the electronic journals that you would need that will provide resources and references for your assessments. On top of that, then we also have a database of online ebooks where, for example, business research methods textbooks, marketing textbooks, innovation textbooks, HRM textbooks that you can access and consult for your assignments. So we have quite a big database within the library of those electronic resources, and you would have access to them as an Edinburgh Napier University student.
Okay, fantastic. And one final question is, do the tutors actually teach different modules, or will I have the same tutor that will be my teacher for 3 or 4 modules on this MBA?
So each module will have its own lecturer and its own tutor, so its own global online tutor. It could be these are the team that I manage, and some of those tutors might be across 1 or 2 different modules. So you might actually have the same tutor, or you might remember them from a different module, but you won't have an individual tutor assigned to you. It is the tutor is assigned to the module, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So I have managed to group all the questions together. I do see a few questions related to what documents are required to be submitted. Please do get in touch with your academic consultant, and we'll be able to give you a comprehensive list of what is required. Okay, now we are currently accepting applications for the May intake. Very, very popular intake that actually fills up quite quickly. So we would encourage you to try and submit your application documents as soon as possible. The program does start on the 31st of May, so we need to try and get these application documents as soon as possible to get that very important unconditional offer. Thank you very much again, Dr. Ciaran. It was wonderful seeing you, and thank you so much for the presentation. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Lovely questions again. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Thanks everyone. See you later. Have a good evening.